so many people that fantasize about having kids, but they literally hate themselves, and it's just so damn selfish to bring a child into the world knowing you don't even love yourself. How can you love another person if you don't love yourself? Like, instead of battling demons and battling egos, people reproduce and punch on their kids. Like, hi, welcome to Nova Talks Beauty, where I talk about mental health, my biggest passion, combined with social commentary, because here at Nova Talks Beauty, I believe and we believe that the world needs to change, and the way to do it is to address the psyche and to understand it, where it comes from. Here I test your cognitive dissonance, because why weren't you thinking about that? Why did you think there was only one way to do something? Yeah. Today we're going to be talking about how people need to stop romanticizing being a parent, having a little family, and I just want to dive into the deconstruction of parenthood. This is going to be an unstructured video, so conversate with me in the comments and tell me what you think about my ideas, and let's get into it. My number one reason for creating this video is to shed light on child abuse and how that ties into the ego and the violence in the world. People don't heal the ego that I talk about all the time. I talk about digging up the ego to be a better person, to be a better version of yourself, to really truly experience the life you are meant to live. I'm pretty sure that so many people in this world that had children that became child abusers did not follow those directions, did not follow my directions. If you want to have a kid, you need to love yourself. You need to know yourself. You know why? Because the person that you procreate with will be a reflection of the self-love that you carry inside. Therefore, your offspring will be loved unconditionally, and you won't want to spew violence and negative affirmations and all these things onto a child. We have to understand as a collective that children are the world, children are the prize, children are the gifts of the universe. They are the new manifestations of the new generations to come. And if multiple people are having children prior to loving themselves, loving the world, and creating a universe that they love financially, emotionally, and physically, to bring a child in, deluded not to create a world of love, peace, and unity before bringing in a child within yourself, first of all, because we see how mothers and fathers treat their kids. They don't show up for themselves, so they abandon their kids. They don't show up for their emotions, so they abandon their kids' emotions. They talk about themselves like trash, and they feel powerless, so therefore they take the power of voice, the power of autonomy, the power of decision, the power of self-love away from children, because they feel like if they can't feel it, their child can't feel it. And I'm not saying this is all parents, but 9 times out of 10 there is a suppression of like evoking the right to live. Like, you know, being a parent isn't being controlled. Like, that's why I'm saying, like, people live out of their ego so much that when they have kids, it's more of like, oh, I'm having a kid because I got a man, or I'm having a kid because that's my girl and I want to stay with her. No one is thinking about the reproduction of another life. And that's why I'm saying, like, I feel like men felt like they couldn't create, so they leached themselves onto the power that women have of creating life, made them go through this pregnancy for months and months, and then took the last name so that they have a say in a child's reproduction. Like, I don't want my fucking dad's last name. Like, why would I want that shit? My mom birthed me. Like, I should have her last name. She should have her mother's last name. Like, you know what I mean? And so I just think it's all played out of ego. Legacy is egotistical, I think. I'm the best person, but gag is you're fucking not. Like, gag is what did you do? And it's not even about the accolades, as I always say. It's about who you are. You die with the fact that you're a good person. You touch souls, you touch heart, you loved yourself, you experience what it means to live a creative, beautiful life. And if you can't pass that on, you shouldn't be passing shit on to anybody. I think child abuse is a really, 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 really bad thing in our society, because most people that go through child abuse don't make it out with like a mindset of like, I can rule the world and I'm beautiful and I am special and all this stuff, and become adults who also reproduce again, and all the things that they learned in their childhood that they never faced, they push it on their child. Like, instead of battling demons and battling egos, people reproduce and punch on their kids. Like, kids go through so much domestic violence because individuals who are reproducing are already beating themselves up and giving themselves the least, and not listening to the directions that I've given to love yourself and to spread peace and joy and happiness. You know what I mean? Fucking fix the ego. Like, child abuse is such a bad thing in America and around the world. It's just a generational curse of people hating themselves, one. That's where it starts. Once you can verbally tell yourself you hate yourself, and that violence can be verbal violence. That's why we call it verbal abuse. And if you can do that to somebody that's not out of you, you can punch on yourself, because you essentially just reproduced an entire human being, the exact person of yourself. If you hate yourself, you will hate your child. And that's why we see child abuse. And child abuse is very bad because people go out in the world and become bullies and become murderers and become rapists to take their power back. Like, are you seeing the connection with that? When you hate yourself and when you feel powerless, you want to do that by taking it from other people too, and eventually having a kid. It's so sick, and I need it to stop. And so pass this video on to the next fucking person. Let's end child abuse by figuring out who we are and finding our ego. And back to the point I was saying about how men needed a reason to be important in this world, so they leached onto the creative powers of women to bring in souls into this portal from the womb, from the vagina. Women are the only ones suffering. First of all, we idolize relationships in our society, in our modern day society. We idolize these relationships so much that it's just really detrimental, because once people even feel a pinch of love, and it really pains women the most, because men are allowed to walk away from these relationships and still get that, and that baby still gets that last name, and women suffer the bodily changes. And I call it suffering. Like, I don't call it the beauty of motherhood. I call it what it is. It's suffering. You don't even know the predictions of what your body can handle. And then imagine also not loving yourself enough to reproduce with somebody who isn't even financially or emotionally available. Like, isn't that weird? Like, can we like stop? Women suffer with abandonment, and it's like people just abandon themselves so much. Like, everything I say when people do it to themselves, it's really the ego. Like, if you abandon yourself so much, what makes you think that man is gonna stay? What makes you think that you're gonna take care of yourself when you're pregnant? Like, come on. You know, you might do the basics, but you're not going to be in love with yourself. And you also just didn't procreate with somebody who is there for you emotionally and physically. And that all plays a key role in how children are treated. Because you were once a child once, and this pain is going to be passed down. And the man doesn't even respect you. Like, come on. Like, I just think we should just de-center being parents. Like, it's so romanticized, I understand, because, oh, like, my man, my girlfriend, I want a baby, I want a legacy, but it just, are we not seeing what is in the world? Some people genuinely hate their parents because of how their parents treat them. But it's truly how their parents treat themselves that they projected onto their children, and this whole power hungry thing. It's so sick. Once people are like, do you guys know the Stanford prison experiment? Once people were labeled as the officers in power, they started literally abusing the prisoners, psychological abuse. Once people become parents, they automatically think control. Like, I have this little freak that I can just control and I can just and I like it doesn't really come off as abuse, but control is a abuse system. Like, I have the say in what they do, what they wear, what they all these things, and it grows over the years as the child doesn't have a mind of its own, and it's really hard for the parent to detach that that baby is their own person, and that's what creates further stress in parent-child relationships, which people don't know how to navigate because they don't have a good relationship with themselves. And until we can, as a collective, start understanding the power of our mind, the power of our tongue, the power of beliefs, the power of life, we need to not have these kids because it's very sacred. Life is sacred, and if people get labeled with this power dynamic of being a parent and controlling a child and dictating what a child, it's going to be really hard to break that thing and see yourself as just an equal. And I created a video this morning. It's like, I for one, I'm a fucking star, and it's just like, I can't see myself reproducing as loving as I am, as beautiful as I am. I don't need my genetic code reproduced because this is a sacred experience, and I don't need the ego. I don't have the ego of, yeah, I did it and everyone after me is gonna do it. My family's the best. And it's like, no, I'm okay. Like, I'm Nova. I did this shit. Like, fuck, I'm gonna adopt kids and I'm gonna have community. You know what I mean? So I just think it's just a power structure that's very, like, it's just really weird. Like, parents really think that they have so much control to speak to their own children a certain type of way, another life a certain type of way. Like let's even take away all these labels. Like, it's another relationship. It's all different types of relationships that people choose to have, but this one is more important because it's creating more population that is out of tune with the power of life and love and community. But yeah, like, I just think the world needs to deconstruct parenthood and being a parent because it's just really detrimental to our universe right now. Like, especially right now, like, it's just really egotistical. Like, I just know so many people that fantasize about having kids, but they literally hate themselves, and it's just so damn selfish to bring a child into the world knowing you don't even love yourself. How can you love another person if you don't love yourself? Like, you're gonna be limiting belief that child. Like, oh my gosh, like, I literally created a video about limiting beliefs and how parents create them. You don't believe that you can have the world. How can you give your child the world? How can you give your child a beautiful, enchanting, loving life if you don't think you deserve that? It's really fucking selfish, and it really needs to be talked about. Like, subscribe to my channel, y'all. I know I just really talked about some good shit. My eyes are so pretty. Stop having children unless you love yourself, unless you understand the beauty of life. It's really, really detrimental. I'm tired of children being abused. They are the gifts of this world. They are the creators, and they are sacred. Stop ruining kids' life and domesticating them into thinking that the world is limitful instead of limitless. Stop domesticating children to believing that they are less than or somebody else is special or more special than them. Stop domesticating children from their innate power of creation, magic, and beauty. Because if we don't stop doing this, this population will continue to grow in a very dangerous way. A very dangerous way. Stop it. Stop doing it for the fact that you're in a fucking relationship. Enjoy your love, enjoy your self-love until you really think, like, ask yourself why. I love children so much, and some people don't love children as much as I do, so there's no fucking reason that they should be having kids as much as I don't, or I don't want to them. You know what I mean? But yeah. Well, I'm Nova. Subscribe for more. We love it here. I love you here. You're welcomed here all the time. And I